1986. This amazing decade was anything but boring. Ronald Reagan was president, leg warmers, cassette tapes, and Cabbage Patch dolls. Everything was just a little louder, and in the community of Oak Hill, West Virginia, population of just under 7,000, it wasn't much different. Most of us look back at our childhood as a happier, more innocent time, and for most of us, the time spent heading to and from school gave us that little bit of independence that we all wanted. Theresa was born April 6, 1972 in Montgomery, West Virginia, to Betty and Donald Woods. Her parents would eventually divorce, and she would live in Powelton with her mom, Betty Holcomb, and her stepfather, Rick Holcomb, until October of 1985. Both of the Holcombs worked for B&B Convalescent Transport in Oak Hill, which was owned by Billy Skaggs and had an office on Main Street across from Wendy's. Shortly before Theresa's disappearance, the Holcomb family moved to Oak Hill. Instead of them traveling every day from across the mountain to come to work, they moved into a trailer owned by Billy Skaggs on the property beside her house. Theresa would soon become close friends with her daughter, Angel Skaggs. Theresa's dad, Donald Woods, owned a grocery store in Kimberly, West Virginia. She frequently spent weekends with her father in Powelton, a tiny community along Armstreet Creek in Fayette County, and the two were very close. In February of 1986, Theresa Woods was still new to Oak Hill, West Virginia, as she had only been here for a little over 3 months. Remembered as being a shy, backwards girl, her auburn hair cut into the same shag style as seen on the February 1986 cover of Teen magazine. At 5 feet 2 inches and 90 pounds, Theresa was very petite. Theresa listened to local radio stations in her spare time, her mom would say. She often sat with her mother on the sofa in the evenings to watch television. She was a straight-A student, and she enjoyed playing the saxophone and electric keyboard. Oak Hill, the largest municipality in Fayette County, also known as the Pride of the Plateau, would have one of their own taken from them on a cold day in February, and a massive search would begin that would take a startling turn in June. On February 20th, 1986, Theresa and Angel were driven to school at Collins Middle School by Theresa's mother. Betty would later say that she didn't notice anything unusual about her daughter that day. Preferring to walk instead of riding the bus, Theresa would catch up with her friend, Angel Skaggs, whose parents owned the B&B, and the two would walk to her parents' place of work after school each day, a distance of just under a mile. But that day was different. Angel rode the bus that day because she had to carry books for her brother who had been out sick. So the two girls did not meet up on Jones Avenue as they typically would. She had not forgotten about Theresa, though. I was going to take our books and drop them off and then walk down and meet her, however far she had got, and walk the rest of the way back with her, recalled Angel. Well, I walked down there and I never met up with her anywhere. I turned around and went back to the office. She could not go looking immediately for Theresa, she said. We didn't go looking for her as soon as she didn't show up at the office because Rick was out on a run and we were waiting on him to get back. But his paperwork wasn't completed, she said. There was no time, there was no mileage from the ambulance, none of that was done. Usually, she reported, Rick was meticulous about mileage and time records. Angel said she returned with Theresa's stepfather, Rick Holcomb, to look for Theresa at the school and along the road. At approximately 3 p.m. that day, Theresa was observed leaning against a post at the nearby 7-Eleven, a popular meeting place for students. This would be the last time Theresa was seen alive. The day she disappeared, she was dressed in blue jeans, a lavender blouse, a blue jean jacket, gray suede boots, and carrying a purse with a shoulder strap. Theresa was 5 foot 3 inches tall, weighed 90 to 95 pounds, blue eyes, and shoulder-length red hair. According to Woods' cousin, Tamara, the family initially thought Woods might have stopped somewhere. That afternoon, she said Woods' stepfather made an ambulance run and Betty, her mother, stayed home. But by 5 or 6 p.m. that evening, it became apparent something was wrong. Tamara said her cousin was afraid of the dark and would never be out at that time. Theresa's mother, Betty, wasted no time in contacting the authorities and Theresa's father, Donald Woods. When Donald Woods, who was still living in Powelton, learned his daughter was missing, he immediately closed his store and drove to Oak Hill. He started retracing his daughter's steps. On a routine day, she would walk from school to where her mother worked at a patient transport company. The first police officers Donald spoke to dismissed his concerns, telling him she likely had run away. I knew she was not a runaway. I knew something was wrong. She was a scaredy cat, her father said. When she was at his home, she would not even walk to her grandmother's house. You had to stand at the door and watch her, he said, and we had the same fenced-in yard. The police preached to me for hours that she was a runaway, but I knew she wasn't, Donald said. I knew my girl better than that. She wouldn't have gotten in a car with nobody she didn't know, Hank added. He also thought it was unlikely that a stranger would have abducted Theresa in broad daylight in a public place without drawing attention from onlookers. Police would soon say there was nothing to indicate she was going to run away. She just suddenly came up missing. They would go on to say that with Theresa's shy nature, she knew and trusted her abductor. Her mother and stepfather reported that Theresa had not taken any of her possessions with her, and Collins Middle School confirmed Theresa had remained at school the entire day, further arguing that Theresa was very close to her family and looking forward to her upcoming birthday on April 6th. Within 24 hours, an investigation was underway. A short time before she disappeared, Theresa had asked her mom to let her return to her former school. Betty said she told Theresa that she could finish the school year at Collins Middle School and then decide if she should move. Angel said that Theresa did not talk about any problems with her home life if they existed. She was the type of person that she didn't really talk to anybody about something that personal, explained Angel. It was reported that Theresa had even asked Angel if she could move in with her. Theresa's father, Donald, said shortly before she disappeared, Theresa was clearly upset but did not tell him why. I think whatever happened started 3 weeks before she disappeared, Donald said. She wouldn't tell me what it was. She asked to come and stay with me. On the last Sunday that Theresa visited her father, she was crying. She would not tell her dad why, but said that she would get in trouble back in Oak Hill. She was upset, the father stated. She didn't want to go back home, back to Oak Hill for some reason. When Theresa left the valley that winter Sunday in 1986, he would not see her again. I worry about her, what happened, what she went through, he said in one of his last interviews. She went to school that day, and then she disappeared on the way home from school. Shortly before she disappeared, Theresa told Angel that she had a crush on Alan, a boy at her middle school. She said Theresa and Alan had a date planned for the weekend after February 20th. Going to a movie with his parents was their date, recalled Angel. When Theresa told her mom and stepdad about the plan, according to Angel, it caused an argument. Alan, who was also 14 and went to school with Theresa and worked part-time across the street from the 7-Eleven, where Theresa was last seen at what was then an IGA grocery store. Theresa's family spoke with the boy, but he said he had last seen Theresa in the lunchroom at school that day and had not seen her since. The boy's father reported that he had received a call from a young girl inquiring about his son, whom he assumed was Theresa, but he was not sure. Both Betty and Rick Holcomb made public appeals for news of Theresa in the weeks after her disappearance, but nobody provided reliable information. Theresa's father printed up flyers with her picture. He and his wife took them everywhere. Ironically, they took the flyers to Montgomery City Hall, where they met city employee Kathy Carroll. She told us she would be glad to help in any way she could, Kathy Woods, Donald's wife said. She made copies for us and distributed some. Within a few weeks, though, Kathy Carroll would herself be slain. Originally from Oak Hill, Carroll worked as a finance administrator for the city of Montgomery. Her father, Edward Roberts, later visited Donald Woods. Donald said Carol's father needed to talk with another father who knew what he was going through. Missing child flyers were posted everywhere. Local newspapers and news stations would post photos of Theresa asking for anyone who knew anything to please step forward. But despite all this, no trace of Theresa was found. Theresa's 14th birthday came and went with no leads. About 8 o'clock p.m. on June 5th, 2 residents of Laurel Creek, while fishing for minnows, found a human skull in the creek bed along the edge of the creek. The 2 men immediately contacted the sheriff's department, who sealed off the area. The area was searched all night and into the next morning. The police uncovered more bone fragments, clothing remnants, and a single earring and a necklace. Several strands of bright red hair was also found. Theresa's cousin stated that Betty Woods, Theresa's mother, heard the news over the scanner on her back porch. I'll never forget the scream when it came across the radio. She let out a scream that you can't even picture and collapsed on the porch. The clothing fragments, skull and bone fragments, were sent to the West Virginia Medical Examiner's office in Charleston, West Virginia. But the identification was put on hold several days due to the fact that her dental records had been sent to California to be recorded with information about other missing children. But even without these records, police were sure they had located the remains of Theresa Ann Woods. Not long after, the state medical examiner, Dr. Irvin Sofer, confirmed that the remains were those of Theresa. Her death was ruled a homicide. Her cause of death has never been released, but authorities feel strongly that it was sexually motivated. Theresa's father would later sue Sofer, accusing him of disposing of some of Theresa's remains inappropriately. The quiet teenager was laid to rest at Glasgow Cemetery. Her dad tucked her Cabbage Patch Kid doll in her casket with her. When Woods died in 2014, he was buried in the plot beside her. Theresa's father had offered a reward for any information. For the time she was missing, her mother never gave up hope. She would still order Avon for her daughter, and even her own sleeping bags for when they were able to go camping again. A psychic was also called in by state police, who stated she told them things about Theresa that turned out to be true. There were some things that she said that she had no way of knowing. The state police stated, however, that she could not be used as a witness, and nothing she said could be used in a court of law. Troopers state they have some vital evidence in the case that they have never released. To help motivate deputies, Theresa's picture has been left hanging in the sheriff's department, and below it, someone has written, "Do not remove until killer is found." Theresa was last seen at 7-Eleven on Jones Avenue at about 3 p.m. She was wearing blue jeans, a lavender blouse, blue jean jacket, and gray suede boots, and carrying a purse with a shoulder strap. Theresa was 5 foot 3 inches tall. She weighed 90 to 95 pounds, blue eyes, and shoulder-length red hair. Her body was found on Laurel Creek, roughly 8 to 10 miles from where she was last seen. The remains were skeletonized. They feel her body was deliberately left where it was found. They also believe that being scattered was due to animal activity and not human. The clothing and jewelry that was found was consistent with what Theresa was wearing that day, leaving police to believe she was killed on or very shortly after the day she went missing. Both of Theresa's parents have since died without ever knowing what happened to Theresa. In the last year, Corporal J. Kincaid, with the State Police Detachment in Oak Hill, said his department has received new and credible information. He said they are leads they are actively pursuing. He is especially keen on speaking with those who may have talked to Theresa in the day leading up to her disappearance. The hope is to learn who did this to Theresa Woods and why. "It would take a lot off of me to know," said Angel. "I blame myself for a lot of these years because I wasn't there for her that day." When asked whether Betty Woods had any suspicions on who may have killed her daughter, her niece said, "We all do. And we say we honestly don't think it's just one person. Anyone with information that could bring closure to the case may contact the State Police Detachment in Oak Hill at 304-469-2915 or the Fayette County Sheriff's Department at 304-574-4216.